what you see at a zoo, there can only be one goat. I wrote that.
That was good, Jenna.
Thank you. So who's had a better career? Take a listen.
That's, end of career conversations. And you look at MJ and LeBron, it's tough to settle any of those debates because there's the what if game and the situation game and who you played for and what era you played in. And I'm just worried about winning right now. And he's got 5 championships, so that ends most discussions, I think.
All right, Cece, break this down a little bit. What puts guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady so far ahead of the rest of the quarterback field? What is it about these two?
Okay, as far as the guys playing the game now, Aaron, the only way to describe it is if, and I listened to Steve Young talk to him. I got a lot of respect for Steve Young, undersized quarterback, had great athletic talent, speed, quickness, but didn't throw the biggest football, didn't have the best velocity, had unbelievable timing, a student of the game. Later on in life went on to be a lawyer, so he's a very, very smart guy.
When you say didn't throw the biggest football, just because you and I actually, oddly, were talking about this yesterday, didn't have a rocket arm.
No, didn't have a rocket arm. He had less arm power. Yes, Greg Maddux. He could find every spot, every arm angle, but not as good an arm as Drew Brees. Like when we look at Drew Brees, we look at him as a complete quarterback, but not necessarily the physical skills. Aaron Rodgers has the best arm that we've seen since Dan Marino. So as far as pure talent, he has the best throwing motion, velocity on ball, how he can vary that.
Accuracy, all of it.
And he's not a big guy. He can generate so much ball velocity, and I don't know how he does it.
That's what
quarterbacks don't even know how he does it.
I was going to ask you that. Is that just almost there is, like he has something, if he did an MRI on his shoulder, there'd be something. Remember, I hate to use this comparison. Secretariat had a enlarged heart. You remember that? And like that was one of the reasons Secretariat. Because Rodgers' ability to put that type of velocity on a football, the accuracy and the placement are one thing, but the zip on it, when he's not Cam Newton, it doesn't make sense. It almost seems like he has something a little genetically different with him, right?
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, and I think, yes, Michael Phelps with the webbing, his feet,
the webbing, exactly.
Everything. Like he was meant to be a swimmer. Aaron Rodgers, quarterbacks are amazed by him, so that's one of the most respectable things. People like Steve Young, people who study quarterback, they're amazed by his physical gifts and how it's displayed. Tom Brady, if there's 5 things you want on a quarterback, there's only one thing that Tom Brady is great at, and that's crunch time. That's where I would say he's the best quarterback. He wouldn't throw the best ball. He wouldn't have the best physical skills. He wouldn't have but he would be in the top 5 of all those things. Tom Brady has made himself into the best quarterback. Aaron Rodgers was given the best arm that God ever gave any quarterback. So Tom Brady, I got a lot of respect. He's created this goatness. Man, it wasn't on the board for him to be the greatest quarterback. When you look at the best 100 quarterbacks that ever played in it, man, Tom Brady wouldn't be your choice. Like if we were looking for a model, like when we start going to the combine, man, Tom Brady's stats wouldn't be the one we would pick up. But you would need his brain, you would need his competitiveness, and Jenna, the thing, as you get older, how much are you going to maybe be satisfied with your success? He's reinvented himself. Yeah. He's watching what he's eating. He realizes my physical skills aren't the best, so how can I elongate my prime? He's done that better than anyone. And he's dealt with the most difficult coach in Bill Belichick. So all these different things it would take to be a great quarterback, Tom Brady, he might not be the best but the clutch performance being #1. The other thing, his marks are so high. And he's the only one can take credit for that because he's made himself into that.
Well, I want to show the audience 2 graphics. One that makes the case that Rodgers is clearly better than Brady. That's this one. Here's their average season since they took over as starters. Rodgers got him in everything. Slightly in completion percentage, slightly in yards, significantly in touchdown interception ratio, significantly in rating. If you look at what they are in an average season, it's obvious it's Rodgers. So now let me show you the graphic to make it clear it's clearly Brady. That's the totality of their career, where Brady has him obliterated. And yeah, listen, Rodgers is younger than Brady, hasn't played as much, but those losses damn near the same. 51 to 57. It's Brady's gone by 105 wins, 7 Super Bowl appearances, 4 victories. Let me do the math real quick. That's 178 touchdowns. So Rodgers going to play a lot further into the future, but he's not catching Brady in those numbers. So that is, one is the old debate, at their best, who's the best? And the other is the totality of one's accomplishments. You said Brady's only the #1 in clutch. I'll add a second part of it. Longevity. To do it for as long as he's done it at this high of a level, he's second to basically no one ever. One part of Rodgers' story, though, that I think gets underrated is the degree of difficulty of the situation he walked into. He was not only replacing Brett Favre, he was replacing Brett Favre, who some fans in Green Bay felt had been unfairly pushed out. A lot of fans were sick of the back and forth, but some fans are Brett Favre loyalists. They were, last year that Favre was in Green Bay, they were 13-3 in overtime of the NFC Championship game. I think people forget that. Like, it was the undefeated Pats year. It was the 07 Patriots year, was Favre's last year in Green Bay. Rodgers has to come in and replace that. And what he did, he came in his rookie year, even though they didn't, not his rookie year, his first year starting, they didn't win a lot, but he had a quarterback rating about 94, better than 2-to-1 touchdown reception ratio. He was great from the beginning. Brady walked into a situation where fans were sick of Bledsoe. They were 21-25 over the last 3 years with Bledsoe. He was pressed into duty because of injury. There were no expectations, and they had a great defense. So they walked into very different situations, and they both obviously made the very most of those situations. But I think people forget exactly what Aaron Rodgers was walking into when he finally got the starting job in Green Bay.
I think the situational aspect of this is the most intriguing. How much of their careers are impacted by the situations both quarterbacks are in? Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers playing for the Packers in that organization, which you know what they do or don't do, and how they go out and get players. And then Tom Brady, who's playing with a Hall of Fame coach, who has they don't have a ton of talent around him, but they gave him Gronk, they gave him Randy Moss, like they give him what they need to do, and Kraft has taken care of him. How much of their careers are impacted by the two situations that they both played in?
Oh, definitely. But I just believe that Tom, being a student of the game, that it's a lot of times people look at us and they look who you're partnered to, and they'd be like, wow, man, your partner must be really special. Tom Brady was meant for Bill Belichick.
Yes.
Because even after 3 Super Bowls, Tom Brady wasn't considered one of the greatest quarterbacks. But Tom Brady, he worked so hard at the game as far as throwing the football that Bill Belichick changed his offensive philosophy. That's how good Tom Brady was. He got the first in a team concept. Those first 3, yeah, he got those. But after that, it became, I have to change because my quarterback's so good. Aaron Rodgers, I like the fact that he went to Green Bay. It's a special place. And yes, they did have high expectations. But he's also the most talented. So he went to a perfect place where maybe the standard was higher compared to going to a place where football is not as important. Other franchises, it's not as important. So I just believe that the greatest, where they went there for a reason. There was a reason why I was cut in Philadelphia and ended up having to go to Minnesota to be able to find myself. And I just believe both of those stories and how they got there are unique in themselves and help them evolve into the players they are.
I believe Brady and Belichick were not only the perfect combo, but if you do believe in like a sports fate, it does seem like they were meant to be together, right? Similar to Breeze and Sean Payton, by the way. Both of those guys were not who they were until they came together. I think Rodgers could have been Rodgers anywhere. I think it's cool he gets to do it in Green Bay, but what if Rodgers got to play in a dome? What if Rodgers got to play in a softer division? What if Rodgers got to play with a team that was more active in free agency?
But what if Rodgers played with Bill Belichick?
Sure. Well, I mean,
that have worked as well.
Well, I mean, and Brady reportedly in the book that was just written said offhandedly once, if Rodgers had Belichick, he'd throw for 7,000 yards a year. Brady said that. That's in the latest Ian O'Connor book, I think it is. That's hyperbole, but I think you say 99% of the guys are system players. I think Rodgers might be that 1%. I think Rodgers might be the one guy, almost any system, almost any situation, his talent is going to shine. Brady got put in the perfect situation to exhibit that clutchness. Because if you can't show the world you're clutch if you're on a bad team. If you're on a team that doesn't make the playoffs, if you're on a team that isn't well coached. He was in the perfect situation to show off what he was great at.
All right, time now for your Subway Choice moment. John Gruden and the Raiders looking to get back in the win column against the 49ers tonight. It is Thursday.